It's short, but it's very evocative. So she said, just like in 1978, there was police hostility, harassment, and unjustified violence in the form of invasive searches against innocent people in 2009. There was roughly the same number of arrests as at the first Mardi Gras. Once again, people were frightened about losing their jobs or damage to their reputations. Perhaps the magnitude of the abuse is less, but the police again seem willing to disregard the law and their own policies. We are again targets for policing from a police force, even when we are not hurting anyone, rather than being accepted as members of the public who deserve protection from our police service. So these are the words that Kathy Sant wrote in 2009, and and got a lot of support in the letters column and so on. Fast forward a bit then to 2013. As we all know, there was really quite aggressive policing at this event. There were reports of police brutality against a young guy, Jamie Jackson. There was a YouTube video that circulated at that time. And there were also numerous reports of various other instances of a general climate of aggression from police, and a lot of this attached to, as well, the conduct of drug searches. In response to these events, there was a protest march the following weekend down Oxford Street towards the Surrey Hills Police Station. I think about 2,000 people were in attendance, and there was really harsh criticism of police. This led to the production of documents like this one, which some of you may have seen on this event's website, from a sort of loose group of party promoters and community figures. And also it led to a big community forum down in I think it was the Teachers College down in Surrey Hills, which led to the production of this document, which is also posted on the event page for this, by the Gay and Lesbian Rights Lobby, the Mardi Gras Inner City Legal Centre and ACON. And this is based on 58 complaints of various forms of police aggression and brutality. A significant number of those, I'm told, and it says in the report, are linked to the conduct of police searches, often illegal searches that involve strip searches without the appropriate authorisation, the appropriate grounds. So, yeah, there are 12 recommendations in this report. Most of them have to do with police training and so on. But number 7 said the recommendation is that the use of drug detection dogs at events and venues be brought to an end on the basis that it's ineffective public health and criminalises people. The recommendation number 11 says that a transparent and independent complaints and investigatory body should be set up. And this has actually happened, well, it hasn't actually happened, but it's been announced that there will be a new watchdog for the New South Wales Police, the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission, overseen by a commissioner with oversights of complaints and the power to investigate police misconduct. And I'm sure that this report, is one of the sort of things that's informed this development. So that's a very good outcome from this process. But of course, we haven't seen an end to the use of drug detection dogs. In the interim, we also know that since March 2014, there have been these lockout laws, which have sort of been a response to some dickhead in the cross being violent. That has really disproportionately impacted public culture in key spaces like Oxford Street and also the Inner West, and the closure of various quite significant venues in the forms that they took. So, yeah, the use of drug dogs obviously hasn't ceased. In the context of the recent deaths linked to Stereosonic, the recent tragic deaths at that party, rather than sort of responding constructively, the New South Wales government has responded in a very reactionary fashion. They've rejected, calls for pill testing so far, and they've threatened organisers with possible shutdown of these events. So I think we're in a very precarious sort of time for the sort of culture that I've tried to sort of give a sense of here. One thing I will say is that the early criticism of sniffer dogs seemed to sort of hinge on the question of whether gays and lesbians were being unfairly targeted. Now, whether we were or not, we know that they've had a disproportionate impact on, gay and lesbian and queer culture. Of course, we know that now that various other parties are also being targeted. So it's no longer an issue that we can respond to through identity politics. It's really an issue that we have to respond through thinking about, what's best in terms of public health. And there is a, very sharp criticism of use of these techniques which criminalise users for possession in all of the drug and alcohol literature, basically. So I'm really happy that there's a chance to sort of connect LGBTIQ concerns to some of Unharm's objectives. Obviously, Unharm is not the sort of organisation that I think will be able to do much about things like the lockout laws, but I do know that as long as police can cite drug possession as a pretext for harassing queer life, we have a really big problem. And so I think it's really important to get behind some of these initiatives. Thanks.